The auditorium buzzed with excitement as students, parents, and teachers filled the seats for the annual school talent show. Laughter echoed off the walls, but in the far corner stood a quiet man in a janitor's uniform, nervously watching the stage. His name was Thomas. Beside him sat his daughter Lily, a shy 14-year-old clutching an old, scratched guitar. "You don't have to do this if you don't want to," Thomas whispered, brushing the dust from her sleeve. Lily smiled faintly. "I want to, Dad." Her voice trembled, but her eyes burned with quiet determination. She had something to prove. When Lily's name was called, the murmurs began. A few students in the front row snickered. "That's the janitor's kid," one whispered. "What's she doing here?" Their laughter grew as she walked across the stage, her old guitar hanging by a frayed strap. Even some teachers looked doubtful. The spotlight felt blinding, and her palms were slick with sweat. She adjusted the mic stand, staring out at the sea of amused faces. In the back, Thomas stood with his cap in hand, silently praying that his daughter would find the courage to start. The host leaned into the microphone. "And now Lily Thompson will perform a song she wrote herself." The crowd chuckled. A few phones lifted, ready to record what they thought would be a disaster. Lily closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and began to play. At first, her fingers trembled across the strings, but then the music took over. The melody flowed soft and soulful, like sunlight through broken glass. Her voice, fragile at first, grew steady and pure. The laughter faded. Every note filled the hall with something real, something they didn't expect from the janitor's daughter. Thomas felt tears prick his eyes. He'd spent his life mopping these same floors, often ignored by the same people who now sat frozen in their seats. But tonight, his daughter's music rose above every whisper, every insult, every moment of being overlooked. Lily sang of hope, struggle, and love, of a father who never gave up. The lyrics cut through the silence like a confession. People leaned forward, captivated. Even the students who had laughed now sat still, eyes wide, as her voice soared higher, stronger, filled with emotion no one could fake. By the final verse, you could hear a pin drop. The last chord echoed beautifully through the auditorium, hanging in the air like a memory. For a moment, no one moved. Then, as if on cue, applause erupted. Not polite clapping, but thunderous, heartfelt applause. The same kids who had mocked her were now on their feet, cheering. Teachers wiped away tears. The principal stood, clapping slowly, his face full of disbelief. Lily lowered her head, stunned, and gave a small smile. Her father stood in the back, clapping the hardest of all, his heart swelling with pride. When the curtain closed, students gathered around her backstage. "That was amazing," one girl said. "You wrote that yourself?" Lily nodded shyly. The same group who had laughed earlier now begged her for guitar tips. She didn't gloat, didn't remind them how cruel they'd been. She just smiled, humble as ever. Thomas met her behind the curtain, eyes glistening. "You did it, sweetheart," he whispered. She threw her arms around him. "I just wanted them to hear me, Dad." He hugged her tightly. "They did," he said softly, "and they'll never forget you." The next day, word spread through the school. The video of Lily's performance had gone viral online. Thousands of views overnight. Local newspapers called her the girl who silenced a crowd. Reporters arrived, asking for interviews. The principal invited her to perform again at the city music fair. For the first time, Thomas wasn't just the janitor, he was Lily's dad, and students greeted him with respect and admiration. When he cleaned the halls that week, teachers smiled warmly, nodding with gratitude, as if they finally saw him for who he truly was. Months later, Lily stood on a much bigger stage, this time at the state youth music competition. Her guitar had been replaced by a new one, gifted by the community. Before she began, she looked out into the audience. There, in the front, Row sat Thomas, still in his uniform, but sitting tall, proud and teary-eyed. She smiled, took a deep breath, and started to play. The sound was richer now, her confidence unshakable. And as the crowd listened, captivated once again, Thomas realized something simple but profound. All his hard work, all his quiet sacrifices had built this moment. When she won first place that night, Lily ran straight into her father's arms. Cameras flashed, people cheered, but for her it was just the two of them, a janitor and his daughter, standing in the glow of their shared triumph. She whispered, "We did it, Dad." He smiled through his tears. "No, sweetheart, you did it." But deep down they both knew the truth. It was love, not talent alone, that had silenced the room. It was the unshakable bond between a father and daughter who believed in each other when no one else would.